There's a chair in your house no one sits in. Maybe it belonged to someone who's no longer here. Maybe you meant to move it months ago, but somehow it stayed. Quiet, still, not in the way, not calling for attention. And yet every time you pass by it, something in you pauses just for a second. We live with things like that. A lamp that no longer works but still stands in the corner. A cabinet full of linens you haven't touched in years. A room that's technically used, but somehow always feels untouched. These aren't just objects, they're energy, held, stuck, waiting, and the truth is, no matter how beautiful or well-furnished a home may look, if the energy inside it isn't flowing, something begins to feel heavy, not tragic, not dramatic, just subtly weighed down. You wake up tired even after a full night's sleep. You clean but never feel fully refreshed. You walk through your own home like it belongs to someone else. It's easy to ignore these signals. Life is busy and comfort becomes routine. But just like air needs to move and water needs to run, your home needs to breathe to stay alive. And when it doesn't, luck tends to bypass the spaces that feel closed off, even if we don't mean for them to be. This isn't about superstition. It's about alignment, about whether the energy in your home supports you or slowly numbs you. Today, I want to show you the quiet signs that reveal whether your home is inviting abundance or quietly turning it away. Because sometimes, the smallest shifts in your space can create the biggest turns in your life. And maybe, just maybe, it starts with moving that one chair no one ever sits in. Sign 1. There's a chair in your home no one sits in, but you haven't moved it either. There's a chair in your home no one sits in. Not because it's broken, not because it's uncomfortable, it's just there. It may be tucked into a corner of the guest room, maybe near a hallway window, maybe in the kitchen where people pass but rarely pause. You don't use it, but you don't move it either. It's always been there. Maybe it belonged to someone, maybe it was a gift, or maybe you just stopped noticing it long ago. But whether you see it or not, that chair holds space, and the space it holds is silent. In every home, there are places like this, objects that remain but no longer serve. They're not clutter, not exactly. They're not wrong or right. They're just paused, and that pause becomes part of the house's rhythm. A kind of energetic stillness that spreads, slowly, quietly, without asking permission. You wake up and walk past it. You dust it sometimes, maybe toss a coat over it. It blends in. Until one day it doesn't. One day you notice that every time you walk by that chair, something inside you softens or tightens. A memory maybe, a whisper, a little resistance. You don't know why, but you don't sit down either. The truth is, a home remembers, even when we forget. And some of the things we hold onto the longest are the very things that keep energy from moving. Not in a dramatic, life-changing way, but in the kind of way that shows up in your everyday experience. That one room you don't like being in, even though it's the quietest. The part of the house that feels cooler no matter the season. The way your mood dips ever so slightly when you're folding laundry there. These are not accidents. They're signals, small ones, but honest. Energy flows where presence lives, and when presence is missing, when we leave objects untouched, corners unrefreshed, and emotions unresolved, what we're really doing is creating spaces that slowly fall asleep. And when a space falls asleep, luck passes it by. Not because you're unlucky, but because energy goes where it's welcomed, not where it's tolerated. That chair, though, still speaks. It says, this part of the home hasn't changed in years. And when parts of our environment stop evolving, they reflect back the parts of us that feel suspended. Maybe it's grief. Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's just habit. But homes and hearts are not made to hold on forever. They are made to breathe, to renew, to move with us as we grow. And the chair we never sit in, that we never move, is often the clearest sign that something in us hasn't been invited to move forward either. Now, this isn't about becoming minimalist. It's not about throwing out everything with a story. It's not even about the chair. It's about noticing, about asking gently, what part of me is being held in that object? What memory? What hope? What fear? Because sometimes letting go isn't about removal. It's about releasing the energy it holds, rearranging, reclaiming, re-inviting life back into the spaces we've left unspoken. And here's the shift. When you do move that chair, even just a few feet, something changes. You open a window that hadn't been opened in years. You vacuum behind it and find a penny from 1993. You place a plant there instead, or a candle, or a small table where your granddaughter's drawings now rest. And suddenly, what was once still becomes soft again, warm again, alive again. You feel it too. A lightness when you walk by, a pull to sit, to breathe, to read a book in that new spot. That's not just good design, it's returned energy, a part of your home that now supports you rather than holds you still. And you realize it was never just a chair. It was the pause you'd been avoiding, the quiet that got too loud, the memory that needed honoring and then releasing. Many of us grew up in homes where furniture wasn't moved, where things stayed where they were put out of respect or routine. And over time, that stillness became normal, expected. Safe even, but safety without renewal is not peace, it's stagnation. And the homes we live in now, they are asking for more. They're asking to breathe with us, to grow with us, to change as we do. So ask yourself, what in my home is no longer part of who I am, but still sitting in my space like it owns it? What's been left untouched, not because it matters, but because I haven't had the energy to decide? And what might open up inside me if I simply started with that one chair? You don't need to rush, you don't need to tear down walls, but if you begin by honoring the energy of stillness and then gently inviting it to move, you'll be surprised what returns. Joy, clarity, a strange little breeze through the hallway that wasn't there before, maybe even laughter echoing in corners that had gone quiet, because homes, like people, want to feel useful, seen, alive. And when we breathe new life into the forgotten places, those places begin to give back. You'll notice it in the way light falls differently, in the way your morning coffee tastes richer when sipped in a space that feels yours, in the way you pause not to avoid but to appreciate. And one day, without fanfare or force, you'll walk past where that chair used to be, and you won't feel stuck. You'll feel clear, like something finally let go without you having to push. That's the kind of release only your home can offer when you learn how to listen. Sign 2. When sunlight doesn't touch your floors, luck doesn't either. You can tell a lot about a home by the way the light moves through it. Not just whether the rooms are bright or dim, but whether sunlight actually touches the floor. Whether it lingers, spreads, warms the corners that too often go unnoticed. Because when sunlight stops entering a space, something else stops too. It's not always dramatic. You don't walk into the room and feel a shiver or sense a ghost, but you feel something quieter. A heaviness, a lack of ease, a subtle disconnect that makes you leave the room just a little sooner than you planned. And you don't know why. That's the thing about light. It doesn't just illuminate, it stirs energy awake. It makes a space feel alive again. And when a room hasn't seen sunlight in a while, it doesn't just get dark, it starts to fall asleep. We get used to it, especially in older homes or during colder months. We let heavy curtains stay drawn longer than they need to be. We worry about privacy, glare on the TV, fading fabrics, and all of those things make sense. But slowly, day by day, our homes begin to dim, not just in appearance, but in mood. You start turning on lamps earlier. You find yourself avoiding certain corners. The hallway near the back feels a little more closed off. And maybe, just maybe, your own energy starts to mirror that. You feel slower, more tired, a bit more irritable, not sad exactly, but not quite yourself either. And you wonder why the house feels heavier than it used to. Sunlight has always been more than just brightness, it's rhythm, it's warmth, it's renewal. It tells the body to wake up, tells the mind that today has begun. When it touches the floors of your home, it also touches you. It sets the pace. The spaces that receive morning light often feel more hopeful, more vibrant, even before anyone's had coffee. That's not coincidence. That's biology and energy working together. But when those spaces stay in shadow day after day, something important gets delayed, your connection to the present. There's a reason we feel drawn to windows on cold days, why cats curl up in sun patches, why a beam of light across the kitchen floor makes us smile for no reason. We're built to respond to light. So is your home. And when it no longer receives it, or worse, when it blocks it, something vital goes missing, not all at once, but over time. A softness, a sense of clarity. the subtle reassurance that today is moving forward. When sunlight stops reaching your floors, the energy in your home begins to flatten. Still air gathers. Corners collect more than dust. They collect inertia. And that inertia doesn't just stay in the walls. It seeps into your day, into your outlook, into the way you feel about moving forward. You don't have to be a spiritual person to feel this. You just have to be honest. Think about the difference between waking up in a room filled with soft, natural light versus a room that's shut tight behind blackout curtains. One makes you want to stretch. The other makes you want to stay in bed. One says, something new can begin. The other says, let's stay where we are. And that message, repeated over weeks and months, begins to shape how we live, not because anything's wrong, but because nothing's being renewed. The good news is this is one of the simplest things to shift. You don't have to knock down walls or redesign your home. You just have to invite the light back in. Open a window in the morning for 10 minutes. Pull the curtains halfway. Choose sheer fabric instead of blackout panels. Find the window that gets the gentlest morning light and place your reading chair near it. Let your home breathe in the new day before anyone else does. Let the light find the corners it hasn't touched in a while. You'll be amazed at what wakes up. Plants will lean toward it. Pets will nap in it. You'll find yourself walking differently through that room, maybe even standing in that beam of light without realizing why. It's not just about brightness, it's about movement. Energy flows where light leads, and luck, opportunity, hope, they follow movement. If you've ever felt like your home was holding you in place, like no matter how many candles you light or pillows you rearrange, something still feels stagnant, it might not be you. It might be the sunlight you've forgotten to let in. Light doesn't just change what we see, it changes what we feel capable of, and sometimes it reminds us who we are when we're not hidden. There's a quiet kind of beauty in watching light return to a forgotten space, the way it falls unevenly at first. The way it stretches a little farther each day. The way it reveals the true colors of your floor, your walls, your life. You might even find yourself smiling at a part of your home you hadn't noticed in months. That smile, that's energy moving. That's something reawakening inside you too. So the question is simple but powerful. Where has the light stopped touching in your home? What corners have gone quiet? What parts of your life have mirrored that dimming without you even realizing? And what might shift if you simply open the curtain? Not all the way, just a little more than yesterday. You don't need to flood the room. You don't need to change your whole routine. You just need to invite one sliver of morning in and watch what happens next. Because when sunlight touches your floors again, it doesn't just brighten the house. It blesses it. It warms the air, wakes the walls, and reminds every cell in your body you are still alive. This day still matters. This home can still hold new energy, reminding you that quiet but life steady and begins forward notice. Our tickets or still grand possible events, but in little shifts. An easier conversation, a moment of laughter, an idea that had been hiding just out of reach. That's how sunlight works, slowly, honestly, without needing praise, just doing what it does best, reminding you that life and warmth and forward motion are still possible right where you are. Sign 3. Scent is the first thing luck notices when it walks through the door. Before anyone sees your living room, before they comment on your curtains or notice your throw pillows or ask where you got that framed photo, something else has already spoken. The scent, it's the first thing that greets them. It moves faster than sound, more honestly than sight. It doesn't need permission. It slips into memory and emotion before a single word is said. And long after a guest has left your home, they might forget what the table looked like. But they'll remember how it smelled and how they felt in it. Scent is the most invisible form of presence. You can't hold it, but you carry it. You can't see it, but you notice when it's gone. Every home has one. Some are clean and airy. Some are warm and familiar, like baked bread or fresh coffee. Others feel stuffy, flat, forgotten, like a room sealed too long or emotions left unspoken. And the truth is, you don't always notice the scent of your own home until something changes. Until someone visits and says, "It smells so good in here." Or doesn't. But here's where it gets deeper, because scent doesn't just affect guests. It shapes your own emotional state. A subtle citrus note in the morning can lift your mood before your first sip of tea. Lavender by the bed can help your shoulders finally relax. Cinnamon in the hallway brings a strange kind of warmth that makes you pause just a little longer. These aren't random. They are memory and biology working hand in hand with energy. And yes, luck too. You see, energy enters through emotion. And scent, more than any other sense, bypasses logic and lands directly in the part of your brain where feeling lives. That means when your home smells like life, fresh, calm, cared for, your energy field shifts, your stress lowers, your breath slows, your presence deepens, and in that shift you become receptive again. Receptive to beauty, to blessings, to timing, to flow. That's how luck notices you, not in noise, but in resonance. The scent of a home tells a story. Is it stale and forgotten like air that hasn't moved in months? Is it aggressively floral, trying too hard to cover something up? Is it sharp with cleaning agents or damp from long-closed closets? Or is it simple, soft, and real, like morning air after rain, like orange peel on a warm counter, like clothes dried in sunlight? These are the scents that feel alive, that carry quiet movement, that suggests someone lives here, not just exists here, someone who is paying attention. This doesn't mean you need to spend a fortune on candles or diffusers. In fact, it's the opposite. The most meaningful scents are often the most personal. A bowl of dried herbs you picked yourself, a small bundle of rosemary from the garden, a homemade pot of simmering water with lemon and cloves on a slow Sunday afternoon. These are not decorations. They are messages, not just to guests, to energy, to yourself. Think of the spaces in your home that feel most alive. They often carry a scent. The kitchen after dinner, the hallway when someone's baking, the bed with clean sheets, and the spaces that feel stagnant. They usually don't smell like anything at all, or worse, like something that's been waiting too long. That's why one of the fastest ways to revive your home's energy is not to redecorate, but to change the way it smells. Open the windows every morning, even in winter, for just a few minutes. Let the old air leave. Let something new arrive. Light a single stick of incense, not to perform a ritual, but to mark a shift. Slice a fresh lemon and place it near your sink. Hang eucalyptus in your shower and notice how your breathing changes. These are small gestures, yes, but energy notices small things. Luck does too. If your home smells like warmth, clarity, and care, people will want to stay longer. Conversations will go deeper. Even your own thoughts will slow down just enough for insight to arrive. That's how you shift the field without forcing it. That's how you begin to build a space that doesn't just look beautiful, but feels lucky. It's not magic, it's memory. Think back, where were you when you last felt completely safe and at ease? You probably remember the scent. Maybe it was your grandmother's hallway. Maybe it was the air in a hotel room after a long journey. Maybe it was the wooden scent of a friend's porch, or the vanilla warmth of a bookshop you never wanted to leave. Now ask yourself, what would it take for your home to offer that kind of welcome to you? Because you live there too. You walk through those rooms every day. Your body listens, even if your mind doesn't. And when your space carries a scent that soothes instead of stifles, something shifts in you. You're more patient with your partner, kinder to yourself, more open to joy, and slowly, that becomes the frequency your home holds. That becomes the first thing luck notices, not just the fragrance in the air, but the softness in your presence. You don't have to do this all at once. Just begin, choose one room, maybe the entryway, the first space you see when you walk in. What does it smell like? If you had to name it, would it be something you're proud of, or something you've grown used to? If the answer is nothing, that's your starting place. Not because anything is wrong, but because something wants to wake up. So go light the cinnamon, peel the orange, air the room, and when you do, breathe with intention. Not to impress anyone, not to fix anything, but to tell your home, I'm here now, I'm ready to notice again. Because when you begin to scent your space with presence, the entire atmosphere changes. Not loudly, not quickly, but steadily. And just like a guest who walks in and smiles without knowing why, luck too will find its way in, pause for a moment, and decide, maybe I'll stay. Sign 4, your houseplants aren't just growing, they are reflecting you. There's a plant in your home you probably haven't looked at closely in a while. You water it maybe once a week. You move it when it gets too much sun. You trim a few dry leaves when you remember, but mostly it just sits there, green, quiet, alive. You walk past it a dozen times a day without really noticing. But the truth is that plant is watching you too, and more than that, it's becoming you. Houseplants don't just survive on water and light. They live off the energy of their environment. They absorb mood, movement, attention. They grow faster in laughter. They wilt in tension. They don't lie. They can't. That's why they are such powerful mirrors. The plant on your windowsill is a reflection of what's happening, not just in your home, but inside you. When it thrives, chances are you're thriving too. When it starts to droop, it's often because something else in the space has become too heavy or too still. We rarely think of our plants this way. We treat them like decor, something to make a room feel fresh, a symbol of nature inside. And yes, they are all those things, but they are also witnesses, quiet, rooted listeners of the space we live in. They don't react to words, but they respond to presence. And when that presence is nurturing, steady, and intentional, they grow toward it. They lean into it, just like we do. If your plant is yellowing even though it gets enough sun, if the soil stays damp but it still droops, if it hasn't bloomed in months, even in the right season, pause. Don't just check the care instructions. Check the energy. What's happening in that room? What kind of emotions are regularly felt there? Is that plant near a space that holds unresolved conversations? Is it beside a desk that sees more stress than joy? Is it near a hallway no one really uses, just like parts of yourself you don't often visit? It's easy to overlook these subtleties, but plants don't. They are honest barometers of the emotional weather inside our homes. They pick up what we pretend not to feel. That's why homes filled with gentle movement, music, and slow mornings often have the healthiest plants, even when they are not tended perfectly, because life responds to life. On the other hand, a plant placed in a forgotten corner, surrounded by clutter, dim light, and stagnant air, starts to echo that environment. It closes in on itself. Its leaves become thin, its color fades, it resists new growth. Not because it's broken, but because it's trying to survive in a place that isn't breathing with it. Now here's the beauty. It doesn't take much to shift this. Plants don't ask for perfection, they ask for presence. A moment each morning to turn their pot a few inches. A hand brushing dust from the leaves. A bowl of water offered with care, not just duty. The same way we want to be noticed, not just managed. And when that care returns, so does their vibrancy. You've probably felt it too. Those moments when a plant begins to bloom again after a long, quiet spell. There's a kind of joy that moves through the room, a soft signal that something is finally flowing again. Not just for the plant, but for you too. That bloom on your peace lily, that's a sign of your own release. That sprout on your pothos, a little green whisper that says, yes, we're moving again. And if a plant dies, even after you tried your best, don't see it as failure. See it as feedback. Sometimes a plant completes its cycle because it's finished holding what it came to hold. Maybe it absorbed what it could. Maybe it carried something emotional that finally found its way out. Let it go with gratitude, not guilt. And notice what part of your life feels lighter after. There's also something to be said about the placement of plants. A thriving plant at the entryway is like a greeter with open arms. A small green friend near your work desk can soften long hours. A hanging vine in your kitchen might remind you that even in routine, something can still grow. These aren't superstitions. They're energetic agreements. You give life, you receive life. Even the act of repotting a plant, shaking loose the old roots, adding fresh soil, making space for expansion, is a kind of metaphor. A reminder that sometimes you too have outgrown your container, that your roots need more room, that your current situation isn't wrong, it's just no longer big enough for what's trying to grow through you. So if you want to understand what kind of energy your home is holding, don't just walk the rooms. Look at your plants. Are they soft, open, reaching toward the light? Or are they curled, silent, unsure? What are they reflecting back to you? And what would change if you began tending to them not as chores, but as conversations? Because here's the quiet truth. Your plants are talking, not with words, but with growth. They are showing you where your home needs more breath, where your energy is too fast or too absent, where something old still sits in the soil, and when you begin to listen, really listen, they'll guide you gently into your next season. Maybe it starts with one plant, one pot, one moment of slowing down to prune, to water, to admire. Maybe you move it to a sunnier spot, and in doing so, realize that you too have been standing in the shade too long. Maybe it blooms, maybe you do too, because plants, like people, don't ask for much. Just a bit of space, a little light, and a hand that says, "I see you, I'm here." And when that becomes your new way of tending, not just your plants, but yourself, that's when your home becomes more than beautiful. It becomes alive. That's when luck notices, not because you place something lucky in a corner, but because your space is finally growing with you, in the same direction, with the same care toward light, toward more. Sign 5. Warmth doesn't come from words, it comes from what happens between meals. Warmth isn't something you can buy. It's not in the couch cushions or the kitchen tile or even the color of the walls. You can design a beautiful house, renovate every inch, and still walk into it and feel nothing. It's not cold exactly. It just doesn't hold you, doesn't soften you, doesn't feel like anyone is truly home. Because warmth doesn't come from words, it comes from what happens between meals. You know the feeling. A house where dinner is eaten together but no one really talks. Where plates are cleared quickly and everyone disappears into their own corners. Where the kitchen stays clean but the air feels thick. Where the food is hot but the mood is cool. These aren't signs of a broken home. They are signs of a home that's gone quiet, not in sound but in connection. Real warmth lives in the spaces where nothing is expected, but everything is allowed. It shows up in the 5 minutes before dinner when someone quietly slices an extra apple just because they know you like it. It's the glance between two people folding laundry side by side, sharing a laugh over something no one else would understand. It's the moment after the last bite when no one rushes to get up, because sitting there together feels like enough. These in-between moments, the transitions, the pauses, the slow exhale before the next task, this is where the energy of a home settles. Not in the big events, not even in the words spoken over the meal, but in the tone that fills the silence after. Is it tight or relaxed, heavy or spacious? That's where you find the real story. In homes where this space is nurtured, everything feels softer. Time moves a little slower. Tempers rise a little less quickly. People feel seen even when nothing important is said. The warmth is not performative. It's not created to impress. It's built quietly, moment by moment, through gestures that never ask to be noticed, but always leave an imprint. You don't need a fireplace to feel this warmth. You don't need candles or cozy throws or a Pinterest-perfect table setting. You need presence. You need eyes that look up when someone walks into the room. A voice that softens before it answers. A willingness to put down the phone, not out of obligation, but because this moment might matter more than you think. Think about the last time your home felt truly warm. Not heated, but open. Not cheerful, but steady. What was happening? Who was there? And more importantly, what wasn't happening? There was probably no pressure, no tension. Just a rhythm that allowed everyone to breathe a little easier. This kind of warmth creates an energetic layer over your space. It lingers in the cushions, in the kitchen walls, in the hallway air. Guests feel it the moment they walk in. Pets curl up in it without being called. Children become calmer in its presence. It's the kind of warmth that makes people want to stay a little longer even if there's nothing special happening. That's energy alignment. That's the kind of vibration luck notices. Because when warmth flows between people in a space, abundance follows. Not just financial, but emotional. Conversations deepen, ideas surface, even rest becomes more restful, and that's no accident. Harmony feeds energy, and energy once fed begins to attract more of itself. More joy, more laughter, more unexpected goodness that has no explanation, just a feeling. But when that warmth is missing, something else takes its place. A sense of rushing, of needing to get through the day, of feeling alone even when others are in the room. And often we don't realize we've lost the warmth until we sit down and notice the absence. The way no one really lingers after dinner anymore. The way conversations stay surface level. The way we start to organize life around efficiency instead of connection. The shift back doesn't require a grand gesture. It starts small. Sit at the table 5 minutes longer, even when the plates are empty. Ask one curious question that isn't about work or chores. Turn on soft music during breakfast and just be there without multitasking. Let there be pauses, let them stretch. Let comfort grow without needing to be planned. Sometimes even rearranging the room can help, not to make it prettier, but to make it more inviting. Pull the chairs closer. Add a small lamp in the corner where you talk. Place a rug under the kitchen table that makes people want to kick off their shoes. Little changes in space can spark big changes in behavior, and behavior is how energy shifts. There's a kind of luxury in shared silence, when you can sit in the same room and not feel the need to fill it. When the quiet says, "I like being near you," instead of "I don't know what to say." That's when a home becomes a sanctuary. That's when your walls begin to hold more than your photos, they hold your peace. And when your home carries peace, you carry less of the world's noise. You sleep easier. You wake lighter. You walk into the kitchen and feel like something is waiting for you, not something to do, but something to feel. That's the warmth between meals. That's the space where luck lingers, not drawn to the decor or the layout, but to the vibration of care, connection, and calm. So the next time you clear the table, take a breath before you get up. Look around. Is there a moment waiting here? Is there a smile left unsaid? A question you could ask that isn't about schedules. And I'm glad we're here that hasn't been spoken yet. You don't have to say it. You can let the warmth say it for you. Because if your home can hold that energy, even once a day, it becomes a place where good things naturally return, where harmony settles into the floorboards, where luck comes not because you summoned it, but because you made room for it. Sign 6. Guests don't always bring gifts, but some leave blessings behind. You can feel it the moment the door closes behind them. The quiet after a guest leaves, still full of their laughter, their questions, their presence. It lingers in the hallway, in the way the light hits the kitchen counter, in the silence that now feels softer. Not all guests bring gifts, but some leave behind something more valuable than anything they could have carried in their hands. They leave a blessing in the air, a shift in the energy, a feeling that stays. Homes are meant to be lived in, but they're also meant to be shared, and not just for birthdays or planned dinners. Some of the most healing energy that enters a space arrives casually, unexpectedly, through a friend who drops by with a story, a neighbor who brings tomatoes, a relative who stays for tea and ends up pouring their heart out. These aren't just visits, they're exchanges, and your home remembers them. There's a reason some houses always feel open. Not wide open to everyone, but energetically open. You walk in and feel at ease without knowing why. Your shoulders relax, you speak more slowly, you breathe deeper. These houses have hosted connection, and it shows. The energy is not just welcoming, it's generous, like it's used to holding more than one story at a time. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens through presence, through how you welcome people in, not just with clean towels or snacks on the counter, but with attention, with curiosity, with warmth that isn't forced but felt. When you genuinely want someone to feel comfortable in your space, they do. And they return that energy in invisible ways. They laugh into the walls. They open windows you hadn't realized were shut. They say something kind, and the room holds it like a seed. Of course, not every visitor brings this kind of energy. Some arrive distracted, rushed, carrying tension they don't know how to set down, and that's okay. Your job isn't to screen for perfect guests. It's to create a home that knows how to receive gently, wisely, without losing its own balance. A home that stays centered no matter who enters, that knows how to offer calm without being drained by chaos. And sometimes the biggest blessing isn't in the guests themselves, it's in who you become while hosting. You soften, you listen more, you let your guard down, you share a story you hadn't told in years. You light a candle not for ambience, but because something sacred is unfolding, something human, quiet, nourishing. That moment, that's where the energy shifts. It's easy to think energy is something we create alone. But the truth is, homes breathe differently when connection flows through them. The hallway feels warmer after a friend's visit. The kitchen holds more than recipes, it holds conversations. The couch seems to hug you a little tighter after someone cried there and felt safe. These aren't metaphors. These are subtle, real shifts in the vibration of your space. Think about it. When was the last time someone visited and left your home feeling lighter? Or maybe you felt lighter. Maybe you laughed in a way you hadn't in weeks. Maybe you remembered a piece of yourself you'd let go of. That's not just nostalgia, that's energetic reciprocity. A blessing was exchanged, and your home became a container for it. That's why it matters not just who visits, but how. How do you greet them? Do you look up when they walk in? Do you offer them water, a soft place to sit, your full attention? Do you let conversation wander, or are you counting the minutes until they leave? Every small gesture shapes the energetic imprint of the moment. And those imprints don't vanish when the door closes. They settle, they stay. They form the unseen atmosphere of your home. But let's be clear, this isn't about entertaining. This isn't about impressing people or having the right kind of home. Some of the most generous energy lives in the simplest spaces. A kitchen with mismatched mugs, a patio with plastic chairs, a living room with books stacked in corners and a cozy blanket tossed across the couch. These are signs of life, of presence, of welcome. Creating space for others doesn't mean constantly opening your door. It means keeping your heart open. It means creating a home that's not so perfectly curated that it feels untouchable, but one that says, "Come in, be real, stay a while." And when someone meets that invitation with honesty, with kindness, they leave behind something more enduring than thanks. They leave a blessing, and your home absorbs it. This is why some spaces feel richer over time, not in square footage, but in frequency. They've witnessed growth, shared joy, supported healing. They've heard secrets and carried silence. They've expanded to hold grief and stayed steady through it. That kind of space becomes magnetic, not because it was designed that way, but because it was lived in that way. So ask yourself, when was the last time your home hosted someone who left a piece of light behind? Someone who didn't just take your time, but gave something back, even if it was just a moment of honesty or an unexpected laugh. And when was the last time you felt yourself becoming that kind of guest in someone else's space? Because this goes both ways. Just as your home receives blessings, you carry them too. You bring them when you arrive open-hearted, when you listen fully, when you notice something beautiful and say it aloud, when you hold someone's truth without needing to fix it. You become a giver of energy, a guest who blesses, not burdens, and your home learns from that. It remembers. In the end, a lucky home isn't one filled with things. It's one filled with moments and the residue of connection. A space where someone once sat and felt seen, where a voice once cracked with emotion and was met with silence, not judgment, where laughter floated up the stairs and stayed long after the shoes by the door were gone. Guests don't always bring gifts, but some leave behind the kind of energy that doesn't fade. It settles into the wood grain, the cushions, the light. It weaves into the story of your home, and every time you walk past the place where they sat or smiled or said something that made your heart feel full, you remember. Not just them, but the energy they left, and maybe, if you listen closely, it's still here. Sign 7, that cluttered corner isn't just messy, it's holding on to old stories. There's a corner in your home you avoid without even realizing it. You walk past it every day, maybe near the garage door, behind a hallway chair, or at the back of a closet, and your eyes slide right over it. Boxes, old papers, a gift bag from last Christmas, that drawer you haven't opened in 3 years, that stack of "I'll get to it soon." It doesn't seem like much, just things. Quiet, still, out of the way. But what most people don't realize is these places aren't just cluttered. They're holding stories you've never quite finished telling. Clutter is rarely about space. It's about emotion. It's about memory. It's about what you haven't had the energy or the courage to face. Every item in that forgotten pile once had a reason to be there, a purpose, a connection to something or someone, a plan you never got to, a person you're still missing, a season of life that passed before you were ready to let go. And so the things stay. Just in case, just for now. But just for now has turned into years. The longer these corners go untouched, the heavier they become, not in weight, but in presence. Energy begins to settle there, thick, still, not malicious, but unmoving. And over time, these spaces begin to shape the way the whole home feels. You clean, and yet something still feels off. You organize one room, and the air still feels tired. Because that one untouched corner, it's still holding the energy you forgot to release. Think about what lives in your clutter. The baby clothes from a child now grown, the letters from someone who left, the craft supplies for a project you never started. None of these things are bad, but they each hold a version of you that no longer fits. A version of your life that is now memory, not momentum. And the longer they sit, the more they whisper. Stay here. Stay where it's familiar. Don't move forward yet. And sometimes you listen, not with intention, not with clarity, but in subtle ways. You put off that phone call. You delay the renovation. You don't apply for the new job, not because of fear necessarily, but because part of your life is still entangled in that cluttered corner, still waiting for permission to let go. Now, this isn't about minimalism. It's not about emptying your house or living in pristine order. Some items deserve to stay. Some objects are sacred, but there's a difference between something cherished and something kept out of emotional avoidance. One honors your story, the other holds it hostage. So how do you know which is which? Pause and ask yourself, when I see this, do I feel warm or weighed down? Do I feel peace or pressure? Does it remind me of who I've become or who I'm afraid to stop being? The body always tells the truth. If your shoulders tense, if your stomach dips, if your breath shortens, you know. That corner is calling for a release. Clearing it isn't just a task, it's a ritual. You're not just removing objects. You're making space for the new, for breath, for direction. You're saying to your home and to your spirit, I'm ready now. Not to forget, not to erase, but to move with grace into what's next. Start small, one drawer, one shelf, one box you haven't opened since you moved in. And don't rush it, sit with each item. Thank it if you need to, cry if you must. Then ask, is this part of who I still am, or who I was? And when the answer feels clear, let go, donate, recycle, pass on, burn if you must, do it with reverence, because releasing is never just about the thing, it's about reclaiming the energy that was tied up in it. As you clear, pay attention to what shifts. The air might feel lighter. The room might look brighter. You might find yourself sleeping better, thinking clearer, laughing more easily. That's energy moving. That's your home responding, because your house isn't just walls, it's a living field of memory and movement. And when you change one part of it, the entire atmosphere begins to shift. You'll notice this especially in the weeks after clearing a deep clutter corner. Conversations open up. Delays begin to resolve. You hear from someone you hadn't in years. Opportunities seem to flow in with less resistance. Is it coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe, when you finally release the past, life had room to bring something new. There's also something deeply personal about confronting the corners we've ignored. It reminds us that growth doesn't always happen in big leaps. Sometimes it happens in the quiet act of finally throwing away a box of expired receipts, or folding a blanket we haven't used since that hard winter, or letting go of a notebook full of plans that never came to life, but still taught us something. You begin to see that your home is a timeline, a map of who you've been. And like any map, parts of it become outdated. Not wrong, just no longer useful. Updating it doesn't dishonor the journey. It honors your readiness to keep going. And here's the unexpected grace. Once the clutter clears, the corner becomes beautiful again. Not flashy, not showy, just open. You might place a chair there or a plant. You might let it stay empty for a while just to feel what it's like to breathe. And every time you walk past that spot, you'll feel it. The absence of weight, the space for possibility, the quiet knowing that this time you listened. So the next time you find yourself walking past that familiar pile, that unopened box, that cluttered drawer, pause, not with guilt, not with shame, but with a simple question: what story is still sitting here waiting for me to say goodbye? Because once you do, that corner becomes more than clean. It becomes clear, clear enough for new stories to enter, for new energy to settle, for luck to finally find a space that's ready to hold it. Sign 8. A sacred space doesn't need an altar, just your presence. There's a spot in your home that already feels different, you just haven't fully claimed it yet. It might be near a window where the morning light falls softly. It might be a chair you sit in with your coffee before anyone else wakes up. It could even be a quiet corner in the bedroom, a place where you rest your hand on the wall without thinking. That space is sacred, not because of what's in it, but because of what happens in it. A sacred space doesn't need an altar, it needs your presence. In a world that moves too fast, that demands noise and productivity and endless doing, your home has the power to slow time. And within that home, even a single square foot of space can become your pause, your breath, your reminder that you are more than your schedule, more than your responsibilities, more than the day ahead. Sacred doesn't mean religious. It means real. It means intentional. It means creating space that honors stillness the way other rooms honor function. Most homes are organized around utility, where we eat, where we sleep, where we work. But few of us are taught to carve out a place for being, a place that holds no expectation, where you don't have to cook or clean or answer anyone, where your only task is to return to yourself. This kind of space doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't need candles or crystals or incense, though you can use them if they speak to you. What matters most is that the space feels honest. That when you enter it, your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, your mind quiets, and your heart feels like it finally has room to stretch. The beauty of a sacred space is that it becomes a reflection of your inner world, not the curated version, but the true one, the one that knows how tired you've been, the one that remembers your strength, the one that has grieved without words and dreamed without permission. When you sit in that space, without distraction, without pretending, you are telling your home, "This is who I really am." And your home will meet you there. It may begin with something simple, a chair that faces the sunrise, a small rug underfoot, a photo of someone you love, a journal, a plant, a cup of warm tea. These are not decorations. These are anchors, invitations, ways of saying, "Here I return." You might not use it every day. That's okay. The energy will wait for you. That's what sacred space does. It holds, it listens. It absorbs the weight you've carried all week and gives it back to the earth. It doesn't judge your silence. It doesn't ask you to perform healing or recite anything meaningful. It just sits with you as you are. And over time, that space becomes more than physical. It becomes energetic. Even when you're not in it, it holds your clarity, your intention, your peace. Guests might not notice it consciously, but they'll feel it. They'll stand near that corner and say, "It's so calm in here," without knowing why. That's the echo of your stillness. That's the imprint of presence. When life gets overwhelming, this space becomes your refuge. When things feel too fast, it slows you down. When your energy is scattered, it gathers you back together. It doesn't fix your problems, but it reminds you that you're bigger than them, that you're not just reacting, you're choosing, that even in the middle of chaos, there is a center, and it lives in you. This is the kind of space where you come back into alignment, where you say thank you without words, where you cry without explanation, where you breathe without a timer. And in that quiet, your intuition wakes up. Your clarity returns. You remember what matters, not because someone told you, but because you felt it. And that's the shift. That's the moment energy begins to reorganize itself around your stillness. That's when your home becomes more than shelter, it becomes sanctuary. Not because you remodeled it, not because you filled it with symbols, but because you gave it the one thing energy always responds to: attention, intention, presence. Sometimes the most powerful rituals are the simplest. Sitting in silence for 2 minutes before checking your phone. Lighting a candle not to pray, but to witness the flame. Writing one sentence each morning about how you want to feel. Drinking your tea slowly with both hands, looking out the window and letting your gaze soften. These are doorways, not to somewhere else, but back to yourself. And when you return to yourself, your energy becomes magnetic. Your decisions become clearer. Your home starts holding you differently. The noise outside still exists, but it doesn't pierce you as deeply, because you have a space where nothing is demanded of you, where you get to just be. That's the kind of space where luck doesn't just visit, it dwells. Because luck is not random, it's responsive. It finds the places that are calm enough to welcome it. And your sacred space, quiet, consistent, honest, is one of those places. So today, look around your home, not with criticism, not with overwhelm, but with curiosity. Is there a spot that wants to hold more of you? Not your productivity, not your image, just you. If so, claim it, clear it, sit in it. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, even if you don't know what to do there, your presence is the ritual. And over time, that space will do what sacred spaces always do. It will soften you, strengthen you, ground you, expand you, and remind you gently, steadily, that everything you were seeking was waiting in the silence all along. Final, maybe, as you were listening, you began to recognize things. A chair you've stopped seeing. A plant that's been trying to tell you something. A hallway where the light no longer reaches. Or a corner you keep walking past, knowing it holds more than just forgotten things. None of these signs stand alone. They speak to something deeper. The way your home mirrors your inner life. The way it absorbs your moods, holds your history, and sometimes, even without meaning to, keeps you tied to what you're no longer living. But the beauty is you don't need to change everything. You don't need a perfect home. You need a present one. One that moves with you. One that breathes with you. One that reflects not who you used to be or who you think you should be, but who you are now. When you choose to let light touch your floors again, when you clear that one drawer, or sit in silence just because it feels good. When you start listening to the small signals your home is sending, you begin a different kind of healing. Quiet, subtle, but powerful. You begin creating a home where energy doesn't just pass through, it stays. And when energy stays, so does luck, so does clarity, so does peace. If you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for being the kind of person who doesn't just want a beautiful home, but a meaningful one. One that feels alive. One that supports you not just with walls and windows, but with softness, with stillness, with soul. So tonight, before bed, I invite you to do one small thing. Light a candle, open a window, touch the edge of the chair no one sits in. Not to fix anything, just to notice. That's how it begins. And may your home, however simple, however old, however quiet, always have room for light to enter, for warmth to return, and for blessings to stay a little longer. Good night, and may your space hold you gently.